Good morning from your isolation stations. Tom Campbell from station 24601 here. You may have reached that point in your self-isolation where you start seeing things, mirages from happier times. Stay strong, they're not real. Anyway, here's your news. WWE and AEW tapings are in serious danger. AEW continue to mock Vince McMahon. And how did WWE accidentally spoil last night's NXT main event? I'll tell you about it in a bit. So WWE and AEW's taping schedule is in serious trouble right now. This comes after a message from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who has announced a stay-at-home order for the rest of this month. I know, weird saying the rest of this month since we're only on the 2nd of April, but this will run until the 30th of April, which means that all non-essential businesses in Florida will stay shut until May. Here's the dilemma, right? AEW have been broadcasting out of Jacksonville, Florida at Daly's Place, and WWE have only got shows taped up until the 8th. Which means they haven't got a Friday Night SmackDown for after WrestleMania. Their hope was that they could get back into the Performance Center by the time WrestleMania had been and gone. So the plan was to kind of get in there, record SmackDown just before SmackDown aired on the Friday, and then everything was fine. But that is now not going to be a thing that happens. So WWE are currently trying to figure out what they're going to do. AEW, we'll get to WWE in a bit, but for AEW, it's less of a problem right now. You see, Daly's Place in Jacksonville, no longer an option for them, but we reported last week they did have a backup plan. And the backup plan was this unknown location somewhere in America. They didn't want to reveal the location because they were concerned that fans may come there and try and get autographs, and the last thing they want to do is encourage people to break social distancing laws, which I totally get completely. But the plan is for AEW to remain at this secret location for the foreseeable. It looks as if it's a location that isn't affected by everything that is going on around Florida. So providing that the state where they are broadcasting from doesn't get shut down, everything should be hunky-dory for AEW. Slightly different story for WWE, who, as we say, have the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida, and Full Sail University, also in Florida, both of which are now out of action. Now, one of the schools of thought has emerged, and it comes from a tweet sent by WrestleVotes, who are normally pretty on the money with this sort of thing. They say, rumors around the PC last week were that if the state of Florida issued a stay-home order, which happened today, WWE would reconsider taking a break post WrestleMania. The Raw after is shot. I've been told that if they are pausing for a while, some footage shot will not be aired. This is to be determined at this point. Now, we haven't had an official statement from WWE regarding this yet, but it's possible that we could be looking at an extended break after WrestleMania, if they haven't got anything else in terms of where they can record. We may not see any new programming from the WWE until May at the earliest. The lucky thing for WWE is they have a back catalogue of about 7 bajillion hours worth of stuff. So if they wanted to, they could quite easily make some best of, some documentary series to play in the time slots on television. So there would still be a WWE presence on TV, but no new content. Of course, they've got the offices in Stamford, potentially record some bits there, but nothing in ring, absolutely not. But also you would think that a company like WWE would have the pull with places around America. If there was a training school or somewhere where they could use a ring or a space, you think they'd be considering that as an option as well. But at time, we do not know the score. WrestleMania is done. The Raw after WrestleMania is done. We've got one more SmackDown in the can. Then after that, as with everything so far with this pandemic, it has just been a moving beast that we are still figuring out. Business as normal somewhat on AEW last night as they continued to mock Vince McMahon. It was last week on Dynamite where Brody Lee unveiled himself, or the week before rather, he unveiled himself as the Exalted One. But it was last week where we got a skit involving Brody Lee that basically lampooned some of Vince McMahon's more obscure little foibles, i.e. not letting other people eat until he's finished eating, his dislike of sneezes. They continued that this week on Dynamite. We had another sketch from Brody Lee and some of his minions in the Dark Order, which saw Brody Lee demand that people refer to him as Mr. Brody. And also we had a bit where one of the minions was yawning, and Brody Lee took great exception to this. Really read this guy the right act, saying that yawning is a sign of weakness. And these are all things from numerous sources that Vince McMahon is all about. This whole Exalted One thing is a full-on lampoon of Vince McMahon's rather quirky quirks. So I don't know whether or not I want this to be just a full lampoon of Vince McMahon. You know, I think I said this the other week. I don't mind the odd little nod, but I want there to be a little bit more meat on the bone than just a Vince McMahon parody act, you know? I kind of want this to be a little bit different to that. Like, if Brody Lee comes out doing the $1 Million Walk, I'm gonna take umbrage with that as well. Also on Dynamite last night, we finished off the bracketing for the AEW TNT Championship Tournament. And the tournament is full of a real mixture of not just young guns, but some heavy hitters, some veteran types, and a couple of, you know, little cheeky ones that could be surprises in the tournament. I can reveal this morning so we know so far, by the way, Cody versus Shawn Spears in round one, as is Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara. They revealed that on Dark yesterday. But also we found out yesterday on Dynamite that Dustin Rhodes is going to go one-on-one with Kip Sabian, and Lance Archer is going to face Colt Cabana. Those are the final four rounding out the TNT Championship Tournament. A real nice mixture of types there. I'm going to go out on a limb. I originally thought it would be Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara in the final, but that is the match we're getting in the first round, so forget that idea. I have a funny old feeling that we are going to see Lance Archer and Darby Allin in the final. I feel like that might be the last match that we get in that tournament. I'm here for it. I'm here for it, actually. It's a good shout. Everything else that went down on AEW, you'll find out about on our YouTube channel later on today. Ross will be here with the AEW TF moments, all the weird and wonderful things that happened on Dynamite last night. And Jack will be here with AEW graded as well. Everything on Dynamite last night gets a lovely grade. I want to give an A to the setup. Cute little venue in parts unknown. Big fan of that. Nice. And finally, WWE, as we know, have WrestleMania in the can right now, and it looks as if it's going to be quite the production. Brian Alvarez on Wrestling Observer Radio talked about this, and he said that they've had just under a fortnight with the footage, and they are going to go OTT with some of the stuff that you're going to see. We had a little preview of it on SmackDown where we saw the bit with Elias getting thrown off the stage by Baron Corbin. Some dramatic camera angles were used to enhance that. Expect to see loads more of that stuff when we get to WrestleMania. I feel like this is either going to be your favorite WrestleMania ever or the worst WrestleMania ever for you, because it's going to be a very slick, polished, Hollywood-esque production. And some people are going to really like it and some people aren't. Me personally, I'm absolutely living for it. I think these are weird times, and I feel like WWE are actually going to try and make the wrestling show that I think Vince McMahon has always wanted to make. I always remember from Beyond the Mat, Vince McMahon talks about what WWE is all about, and I remember him always saying, "We make movies." I feel like Vince McMahon is getting an opportunity to make movies here, which is probably part of the reason, that and the money, why Vince McMahon hasn't binned off WrestleMania this year. We're getting some very elaborate movie type setup from them. I'm intrigued. Very, very intrigued. But there is a lesson that they can learn from NXT last night. I feel like NXT has been testing the water for a couple of things WrestleMania based, like putting on a whole show of like 7 matches and 2 segments last week, putting on more wrestling heavy stuff just to see how it scans and how it floats with an audienceless visual, and it seems to be doing all right so far. The ratings have been a bit all over, but the visuals, I think NXT has looked good, but they made a big old blunder last night, and I'm glad they got this out of their system on NXT. Ryan Satin was the one that spotted this, and it sucked for them, actually. WWE spoiled the result of Keith Lee, Dijakovic, and Priest, which was the North American Championship main event from last night's NXT, during the show by linking to a gallery that hadn't been published yet, which showed the winner standing victorious at the end. And then Ryan has said, I didn't want to post this before the match aired and get people upset with me for spoiling it too. So if you got onto WWE.com during NXT, you would have seen a full photo gallery featuring loads of photos of Keith and Dominic Dijakovic and Damian Priest all doing lovely stuff that hadn't actually happened on the television program yet. Kind of awkward. I genuinely am pleased that they've got that out of their system before WrestleMania. Can you imagine if you just nipped onto WWE.com, like just as WrestleMania was getting started, and all of a sudden you accidentally saw a link to the photo gallery, and there you see the picture of, I don't know, Drew McIntyre holding up the WWE title. You'd be livid, wouldn't you? Glad they made that mistake on NXT and not this weekend for WrestleMania that is so big, it'll probably need 2 photo galleries. That is it for your Cultaholic news for this morning. As I say, AEW graded, NXT graded with myself, and AEW TF moments on the YouTube channel a little bit later on today. Also on the YouTube channel right now, brand spanking new tier list with Ross and Sam Driver. They're rating all the WrestleMania stages, and there's a few I disagree with vehemently. And I'm sure there'll be some that you disagree with as well. If you're not subscribed to the podcast as well, cheeky plug for the podcast. Cheeky plug for the podcast. Yesterday, I had a sit-down chat on our podcast show, Desert Island Graps, with the brilliant Chris Van Vliet. He is the wrestling interviewer, and he joined me for a chat on Desert Island Graps last night. If you just look up Cultaholic wherever you get your podcasts from, everything you'll find, everything you need from it, goodbye Pablo, everything you need is going to be on there for you. Have yourselves a great Thursday. I had to think then what day it was. It's definitely Thursday, isn't it? It's the month Thursday of June, May, whatever date it is. Stay safe. Have a good one. Love you. Bye.